Hey there, guys and gals, friends and foes. Welcome to Back of the Cereal Box. I am your host, the prophet of pop culture, John B. Pica, but you can call me Johnny. And we got a great show in store for you today. We're going to be talking about Cobra Kai Season 3, my real quick review of Shadow in the Cloud, stuff that's upcoming, and we've got a very special guest joining us in the studio this morning, and we're going to get to that right now. Whoops, hit that twice. Good morning, friends and foes. We've already got a few viewers watching, and if you are watching, make sure you post a comment, just like Cindy Kep did. She says, good morning. Good morning, Cindy. Welcome to the show. Glad you're here with us. And that's how this works. So there came a day, unlike any other day, when the question was asked, wouldn't it be cool if we could just get a group of our best friends together on a Saturday morning, sit down with a big bowl of breakfast cereal, watch cartoons, and talk about cool geek stuff that we love? Well, the answer was a resounding yes, we can. And the Back of the Cereal Box was born. It's the only podcast with 8 essential vitamins and minerals. So let's open up the box and see what's inside. And yes, this morning I am eating Star Wars cereal, kind of baby Yoda O's. I've not tried this yet. It looks like, if you guys remember Kix with, it's got baby Yoda shaped marshmallows. Now I hate breakfast cereal with marshmallows, but I didn't see it had marshmallows when I bought it, and so we're going to give it a try. Now, I've said this a dozen times on the show that when I was a kid, we didn't have an iPhone or an iPad at the breakfast table growing up, so our iPad, our iPhone was the back of the cereal box. In this case, it's just a big, giant trading card style image, but that's kind of cool. You got Jindarin and Grogu. I'm backwards. Jindarin and Grogu on the back. And you guys, if you've been watching the show, you know I loved The Mandalorian, and so we're going to try this morning. Now, our regular co-hosts Aubry and Dee have not shown up this morning. Aubry has just sent me a message and says, I'm still able to do it, but my brother is asleep in my bed and snoring as I speak. Ooh, I'm going to tell her to go ahead and come on. So I'm going to text her. Come on in. That could be funny. Oh, this is how we roll here. So we're going to consult the Magic 8 Ball to see if my co-hosts, my regular co-hosts, are going to make it. Will Aubry and Dee make it? Magic 8 Ball says yes. So it says both of them are going to be here. But in the meantime, we've got a very special guest waiting in the green room. And we're going to welcome him in as I take my first tastes of the Star Wars Baby Yoda cereal. Please welcome author extraordinaire Bill Webb. How you doing, brother?
I'm wishing I had a big bowl of Choco Bombs. Do you remember what Choco Bombs are?
Mm-hmm.
From Calvin and Hobbes?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, wouldn't that be great? Just this big thing that's just nothing but chocolate and sugar and get you ready for the day.
Well, you could have got Cocoa Puffs.
Yeah, but you know, there's just something so iconic about Choco Bombs.
Yeah,
but yeah,
I can do that.
Yeah. So how you doing? Other than chowing down?
Well, I'm doing great. And so my immediate 1 second reaction. Do you guys remember Kix cereal? It's still out. But did you ever eat Kix when you were younger? That's exactly what this is. This is Kix with green marshmallows, Baby Yoda shaped marshmallows. And you know what? They've improved cereal marshmallows since the last time I ate a breakfast cereal with marshmallows. You remember how they used to be all hard and chalky?
Yeah. They didn't taste like a marshmallow at all. They were like an eraser.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And these are okay. These are okay.
All right. Good. Well,
so we got. Go ahead, Bill.
Oh no, I'm good. I can't even remember what I was going to
say. that happens.
It does.
Now you guys probably can't tell on video, but Bill, since you're white in the beard, I'm starting to get that way.
Thanks for reminding me.
Well, it's okay. It looks good.
Okay, thank you.
We should have had you on our Christmas episode. But I'm starting to get some white in my beard. I've hit level 50.
Yeah.
Now I'm coloring it though, and this morning I have silver.
Silver's cool.
Yeah, it really doesn't show that much, but when I wash it out, the difference is pretty dramatic.
Yeah, mine is mostly still dark. It's just the light washes it out, right? Yeah. So my hair is actually still blonde, and this is still kind of dark, but the light gives it a weird sheen.
Okay.
Yeah.
We can go with that.
Yeah, there we go. That's the explanation, and I'm not changing my story.
So Willow Schuyler has popped on and said good morning. Willow, we love that avatar. And she does a great show. Go ahead, Bill.
Hi, Willow. I'm available. No offense, John. No offense. I'm just
all
kidding.
Right. That's all right.
Yeah.
She's our support Canadian.
Okay.
Our emotional support Canadian. And
everybody needs one.
Yeah, and she does a great show of her own called Willow's Pillow Talk. And she's a celebrity now. It's listed on IMDb. And
really?
Yeah. I got to figure out how to get my shows listed on IMDb. I do 2 other podcasts, and she said that her network set it up for her. But I have a love-hate relationship with IMDb because I've done parts in movies and TV shows, and I've got podcasts and video casts and whatnot, and I cannot figure out for the life of me how to get a listing on IMDb.
I don't know. I can totally see you as a character on a show. I mean, I really can. A recurring character in a book, a show, without a problem. You would be the. I mean, we're all geeks here, so I guess we're gonna be okay with that. And you'd be the geeky computer guy who also knows everything there is to know about pop culture. And, whenever anybody's trying to have a serious conversation, he would be the one that throws in the pop culture references.
Okay. I can see that. I could do that. That would be interesting. Cindy Kep asks, is it suitable for framing? She's talking about this. I think so. I think we could cut this out and frame it. Yeah. And Nick Talkert, who I've got to have on the show, says the Mandalorian cereal is really quite good, sweet but not too sweet. Actually, Nick, I would agree with that. It's really good, and I'm surprised at how good the marshmallows are. I'm totally shocked. Here, I'll take another bite.
Could it be that unlike the Kix, it hasn't been sitting on the shelf for 3 or 4 years?
That could be. Now, I'm on the hunt for Quisp.
Oh, I remember Quisp.
Now, they still make it. It's made by Multomeal, but it's not in a box. It's in a bag. And so, it's at the lower level in the cereal aisle.
Yeah.
Nick Talker says, if you worked on a film, TV show, episode, or game that is already listed in the database and you received an on-screen credit, you should be eligible to be listed on IMDb. If we list the title, but your name or credit does not appear on IMDb page, you're welcome to submit it for inclusion from their site. I can't find that anywhere, Nick. We won't take it up here during the show, but send me where you find that info. So, because you can't get booked at Dragon Con as a guest unless you have IMDb credits. Now, I've published 5 books. I've got a podcast. The Diesel Punk podcast has 10,000 listeners per episode. And this show is growing by leaps and bounds. And, I can't get booked at Dragon Con. So
you can't get even booked as an author?
No.
Huh. Well, if
I want to pay.
Well, no, but I mean, as an attending guest.
Not so far. Or they could just hate me, and that's their excuse.
I used to think that too. They accepted me the first year that I was an author, which was 2017. And the day that I was supposed to drive up to be there, I had the very, very first panel of the entire show, and I was all alone. So as I was getting ready to drive up, 5 tornadoes touched down in my county, and yeah, it was a fun day. The road was wrecked. All these roads were closed and everything. I couldn't get there, and so it wasn't until last year they took me back. I guess I had to serve penance.
I guess so.
Yeah.
So Cindy Kep says, check with Bill Sartain about Quisp. He's a fan. I've seen it in the stores. You can order it in a box off of eBay. I don't know. Yeah, see, Joe McKeel says he found Quisp on Amazon. They're proud of it at $8.12 a box. That's because, Joe, you can't find it in a box in the stores anymore. It's in the bag. So,
yeah, the sell-by date, the back of that cereal box probably says, watch out for Y2K.
That's probably true. And Nick Toggart says, I still consider myself a roving footstool to help folks level up. I appreciate it, Nick. And send me that link offline, and we'll investigate IMDb. So, Bill.
Yes.
You are here to talk about an upcoming project. Now, before we get to that, we got some other housekeeping to do.
Okay.
If you guys are paying attention to the show and watching the content that we put out on the YouTube channel, you know that we took a road trip last Saturday. We finished this show, hopped in the battle wagon, Jenny, and headed up to Louisville, Kentucky, to visit a couple of brick and mortar shops. We visited J&B Magic Shop, which is a real deal brick and mortar magician's supply store in New Albany, Indiana, right across the river from Louisville. And we had a great time. There was a great video overview, and Brent Braun, who owns the store, demonstrated an original trick that he created called This, That, and the Other. And I had to support that brick and mortar, and so I went ahead and I bought that trick. I haven't learned it yet, but you can see it demoed by Brent, the creator, on that road trip video. And we bought some other stuff. Sarah Janelle, one of my students, went with me, and Madam Dark of the League of Impossibilists, along with Deacon, went with us, and they got some cool stuff. But that was the loot that I got from J&B Magic Shop. And before we leave today, I'm going to perform a piece of magic that I've done for years, but haven't performed since August. And that's a whole other story, but I'm going to do it before we leave here. Now, the second place we went was the Destination, games, comics, toys, and collectibles. And you can watch that road trip video also on our YouTube channel. If you're watching this on YouTube, it's right below us. And I got some cool loot there. One of the things about that store was I found stuff that I hadn't seen anywhere else. And I had been looking for this hardcover edition of Klaus, the Life and Times of Santa Claus. I'm a Santa Claus lore fanatic. And I love just about every version of Santa Claus that has been published. This one reimagines St. Nicholas or Klaus as a badass sword-wielding warrior. And this is by
I like it.
Yeah, Grant Morrison wrote it. Dan Mora is the artist on it. And it's a collection of several individual issues that they had published. Look, there's Santa Claus going down to the pits of hell to
nice.
Fight demons.
Yeah.
And really, really just great artwork. The coloring is like a watercolor style color. I love that kind of stuff. So this had been either delayed or stores weren't ordering it, but the destination had it. And look, I could have ordered it off of Amazon. I hate buying off of Amazon. I want to be able to go in, support brick and mortar first, but also just put my hands on it, flip through it, see what I'm getting. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I'm old school like that. So that I picked that up at the destination, and you hear me talking about it on camera, but I didn't show what I got. I also picked up the Mighty Avengers Dark Reign collection. I am an Avengers Freakosaurus, and this is one of my all-time favorite story arcs. Look, this is a big, thick tome. Yeah. Dan Slott, Koi Pham was the main artist on this, and loved this run of Mighty Avengers and picked that up. I hadn't seen that anywhere else either. And then, I was you're seeing all over the internet that this is sold out everywhere you go, and I'm seeing it priced. The stores that do have it are pricing it like really inflated. I saw one store had it at $60. Now that's probably for the first printing. I'm sure this is like the third or fourth printing, but I got the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Last Ronin story. Have you guys read this? I'm not a huge Turtles fan. Throughout the last 30, 40 years, I've, they've been in my peripheral. I've read a story here or there, watched a movie or two. But everyone was raving about this. And normally when everybody raves about something, I go the other way. I didn't watch Stranger Things for almost 2 months because everybody was raving about it. And I was like, I don't know. And then I finally watched it. I was like, okay, the hype is real. So I was kind of like that with this. I didn't seek it out, but they had it, so I bought it. And I got to tell you guys, this might be the single best comic story of 2020.
Wow.
It was phenomenal. Now, it doesn't get my vote for best series of 2020 because that went to Adventure Man because this is only one issue. Issue 2 doesn't come out until next month. So maybe it will get my vote for 2021. And then I had to pick up the collected edition of Firepower. This is volume 2. Volume 1 was a prelude to the ongoing series. Now, I talked about this Wednesday night. I have all of the floppy issues on this, but I went ahead and bought the trade paperback because a lot of times, and Bill, you'll understand this, a lot of times a story that you read month to month actually reads better all in one edition.
Oh, absolutely.
And Firepower is one of those stories. This is Kirkman and Chris Samnee doing the artwork. And they a lot of trade paperbacks, they break it up like it was published with the covers in between and whatnot. They didn't do that. They removed all of the chapter markings and covers, and it's one continuous story, which I love. So yeah, and the thing is, people are like, well, if you're going to buy the trade, why do you buy the individual issues? Because without the individual issues, you don't get a trade.
It's true.
So buy the individual issues.
You know, John, I was just going to say, you don't know this about me, but when I was 13, I was in history class, and my teacher confiscated my copy of X-Men that I was reading. I had my book up. We were supposed to be reading something, and X-Men was open, here. And he caught me doing it, and he came over and ripped it up in front of the class. So I do. Oh yeah, I do. I go back a long way with comics. So you're in my wheelhouse with all this stuff.
Do you remember what issue that was?
That was actually freshman year, which would have been 1969 to 70. So I think it was right after they had, they stopped what was issue 65 and then did reprints. And I think this was right after they'd come back. It's fuzzy now. It's been a long time ago.
So this would have been a Dave Cockrum issue.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was. Yeah. Yeah. At one time I had X-Men 1 up on my wall, and right beside Spidey 1 and FF 1. And they were in their bags and they were up there just so I could look at them. And then when my son got to be a certain age, he kind of didn't go along with the plan of being fed every 3 days. He wanted it, food like multiple times a day, which I thought was pretty selfish. Yeah. So those things had to go away. But yeah, if you really want me to make you jealous, back in 2001, now I sell used books. I've been doing that for a long time. Okay, so back in 2001, I bought a collection of a gentleman that had died that was graphic novels. Hey, Carlin, what's going on?
Good morning, Carlin.
I bought a collection of a guy who had been collecting graphic novels, and he was a very low-level novel artist himself, so he knew all these guys. And there were 6,000 issues in it.
Wow.
And he had the first – people argue about what was the first actual graphic novel, and it didn't matter because he had them all, and they were all in pristine condition. They're gone now. I had to sell them because that was my business. But I got a chance to look at them.
So that's interesting. I just had this discussion on our road trip about, what was the first graphic novel, because Greg Jones, Deacon, bought the Star Slammers or Star Slammers or Star Jammers graphic novel. It was published by Marvel under their Epic Comics banner. And there's debate whether that or Dave Cockrum's Futurians or X-Men, God Loves, Man Kills, or God Loves, Man Kills. Which one of those three was the first official graphic novel? But I would dare say none of them.
Right.
What would you say, in your opinion, is the first true graphic novel?
Well, I actually researched it pretty heavily because it was not a cheap book. I think it went for $300 or something along those lines. And nope, sorry, Carlin, wasn't Star Jammers. This was an independent publication from 1976. And I can't remember the name of it, but it was it had a stapled binding.
Okay.
And it was written strictly as a graphic novel. It wasn't a series of comics that were put together. It was written from the ground up to be a graphic novel, in the same way that Jim Steranko did Starfawn, and Frank Miller was working on his stuff early on. But this was in 1976. And there was actually another one that year that came out about 4 months later. And I wish I'll send you the name. I'll do my research and figure out what it was and send it to you.
Cindy Kep says, I thought Will Eisner's work was first as a graphic novel. All of his stuff was collected stuff. No, Carlin was clarifying it's Star Jammers, not Slammers. Are we sure about that, Carlin? Because both exist in the Marvel Universe. Or, well, back then, Epic Comics was a separate label. But there's a group called the Star Jammers, led by Corsair, Scott Summer and Alex Summers' father. That's going to drive me nuts. But yeah, Bill, that's why a lot of people say that God Loves, Man Kills, the X-Men graphic novel. That's why they claim it is the first graphic novel, because it was written as a standalone story to be, a standalone graphic novel. So
it's probably the first one that got any sort of real distribution.
Yeah, mainstream distribution.
Yeah, the one I'm talking about was done by a very small press. It might have even been the author himself, and it had a very limited distribution. It was big too. It wasn't standard comic book size. It was a little bit bigger than that. And I'll find out, but I will let you know.
Yeah, that would be great. Well, The last thing I picked up at the destination, and this is so funny, I saw so many things there that I had never seen before. And this was one of them. I'd been looking for it. And again, I could have ordered it off Amazon at an inflated price, but I found the board game, The Guardians Chronicles. This is by published, and this is an enormous box. Look at this. Wow. This is crazy huge. Now, it's not that much stuff in it. It's not packed quite that tight. I don't know why the box is so big. But you basically play as superheroes saving the city. And it's by Yellow Games, who made King of Tokyo and Shadows over Normandy. And it comes with some great fun miniatures. And I'm going to do an unboxing video later this week, and I'll show all of those. But how cool. And I got it at 20% off because they were having their after Christmas sale. So I got it like for $40 cheaper than I could have got it on Amazon. It's pretty cool. So Joe McKeel says, bottom of the hour, got to run, get with John about the 16th. Yeah, so I mean, get with me, John. Okay, I know what you mean, Joe. We are going down on another road trip January 16th. So Aubry, if you're watching but you're not in the green room yet, mark your calendar now to be off work to go on our next road trip. We're probably going to go down to Chattanooga and visit Signal Mountain Games and Toys, and there's a big flea market down there. We're going to do a flea market treasure hunt. And so Carlin Stewart was watching last week, and he saw that I got Princess Bride, the board game, at Target on sale, and he went out and got it. And he also got the Silver Centurion Iron Man at Walgreens. And those Marvel Legends figures, guys, at Walgreens right now, they're not marked on the shelf, but they're on clearance for $9.95. Just saying. All right. So, Bill, we got a bunch of other stuff to talk about, but while it's fresh, let's talk about your upcoming project. That is why you're here. I've got the graphic in front of us. I'm going to show it, and then we'll talk about it and how people can get involved. It is called The Trashman, a Hit World novel. So tell us about The Trashman.
So Hit World is a project that began almost 30 years ago. And I think you get the idea that I've got I'm very steeped in comic book type lore and fun and, things like that. And one of my favorite authors is Roger Zelazny. If you haven't read him, his stuff is legendary. And so about 30 years ago, on the only place, there was none of this, of course. The only place, if you wanted to be on a message board and talk comics, you had to be on AOL.
Right.
I mean, there wasn't anywhere else. And I was on a board devoted to mystery novels called Hard Boiled. And hard-boiled being noir, Raymond Chandler, Dashiell Hammett, that kind of author, with these tough guy PIs and things like that. Some of the authors on there are, in fact, most of the authors on there that were on there at the time are now all #1 New York Times bestselling authors. They've all made it, but back then nobody had ever heard of them. Some of them, I don't know how much you keep up with mystery stuff, but Michael Connelly, every book he puts out is #1. Max Allan Collins wrote Road to Perdition. Speaking of graphic novels, okay,
Yep.
and he has a phenomenal series about a PI called Nate Heller, and he's very involved in comics and things like that. He loves this kind of stuff. He was there. Harlan Coben, everything Coben does is now a #1 New York Times. So anyway, there were all these future successful authors, and one of them is a guy named James W. Hall, and Jim has, his books always go to #1 on Amazon and things like that. So every holiday he wrote a vignette about this down on his luck PI named James Holiday. And, it was just for fun. It was 500 words about this. And something always went wrong in Jim's life on a holiday. Thanksgiving, something happened to the turkey or whatever. And it was always told in this really serious but deadpan style. And after a while, everybody else started doing the same thing, and I did too. And I wrote this little vignette about 500 words. But before I could ever finish it or show it to him, AOL wiped out their message boards.
Oh.
All the archives were gone, everything. And a couple of years ago, I was just looking through some of my old CDs from CD-ROMs and found a fiction disc that had all these stories of his on it. So I sent them to him and said, hey, Jim, here are these. Do you want them? Did you keep them? He goes, no, man, thank you. And I sent him the one I'd done. It was 500 words. And he wrote me back. He goes, I'm not blowing smoke. You really need to finish this. This is really, really good. So, yeah, sure. But I did. And as it turns out, that turned out to be the basis for Hit World, which is the universe that the Trashman is set in. And to describe it, it's the tagline is, it's a place where everything you don't believe is real. So if you're a skeptic and you don't believe in UFOs or Bigfoot or whatever, they're real here. And anything is basically possible. My elevator speech on it, that's what we call it, the little how do you describe it, is imagine that John Wick gets a license to kill and joins Men in Black.
Okay.
So it's a universe where killing people is legal as long as you have a license, because the government is involved in every step of it and they want their cut.
Of course.
Yeah. And if you do it wrong, if you just go out and kill somebody because you're mad at them, then you can be killed by anybody else and they can take your stuff. So it's all got to be done just so that everybody gets paid and everything's lined up legal. And the book is about, it's the first book in the series that launches it. And it's about a guy who falls, it's got to have a femme fatale.
Yeah.
And
wait. That's politically incorrect, Bill.
Oh, well, should I say it again then?
Yeah, you should.
Okay, well, it's got to have a dangerous female.
We don't do pronouns here.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so it's got to have a dangerous love interest, human love interest. Don't want to go off on that
qualifier.
Yeah,
you don't want to have a rhinoceros on the cover.
I do. Well, it's actually not a rhinoceros, but it just looks like one. And so, yesterday I wrote a story. It's a song. It's set to you. Are you familiar with the song "Ghost Riders in the Sky"?
Oh yeah.
Okay, by the Outlaws, the really fast.
Oh yeah.
Version. Okay, so this is sung to that, but it's called "Orange Rhinos in the Sky." And
so do a few bars for us.
I'll have to pull it up. I can't remember the lyrics, but hang on one second. I'm sure it's just interesting watching me sit here and do this.
Orange riders.
Here we go.
Rhinos in the sky. Yeah.
Okay. Duncan Steed went driving out one hot and sunny day. In a cool backseat he rested as he went along his way, when all at once a mighty herd of vicious beasts he saw plowed out the ragged skies and through a jagged flaw. Yep. And then so I'm getting somebody who can actually sing to, play to it and sing it as Filk and all that kind of stuff.
That's fantastic.
So the guy falls in love with the wrong female, and things spiral out of control from there, and nothing's like is what he thinks it is. And that's actually the cover that I know. It's a Rakono. And Rakonos, just, I hate to give things away, but we'll give this a little bit away, is they are interdimensional. Like a rhino, there are differences, who are carnivorous and have acquired a taste for human earthly meat. So they show up every now and then just to eat and then leave. And they're about the size of a locomotive. So, and somebody said he's going to need a bigger gun. Yeah, he gets one. So the book is a lot of fun. There's a lot of influences that went into it. And I kind of said, okay, if I'm really going to do this, if I'm going to write this in a way that's going to appeal to people who love, really, really off the wall stuff, then I've got to put everything I can think of in there. And it doesn't have a kitchen sink because I couldn't think of a way to actually do it. But it's got everything else. And it's an homage to Roger Zelazny's Nine Princes in Amber. And so for anybody who has read that book or that series, if you pick up on references to it throughout, I'm not copying Roger. If I didn't tell you this, you probably wouldn't catch on. But the construction of the book, the layout, the narrative drive, and all that has that as its foundation. There are bits of the Avengers in it.
Okay.
And there are other influences that came in, and they were all conscious homages. But somebody who's already read the book as an early reader, I told them where the Roger Zelazny references were, and they didn't get it until I told them, and then they go, "Oh yeah, I see that now." So it's not like I'm copying, because honestly, I don't even know how to do that. But it's the first in a series. The second one's written. It's called A Bullet for the Shooter. I wrote that with Larry Hoy. Larry's the co-creator of the universe. It will be out. This is coming out January the 15th from Chris Kennedy Publishing. It will currently only be available on Amazon. I know people want to, and it's a long story about why you can't get some of these books in traditional bookstores.
Hey, look, I'm right there with you. I've written 5 books, and they're available through traditional bookstores, but they're not on the shelf at traditional bookstores. I get it. Yeah.
And so that's the whole deal. Okay. Chris and I are actually writing a book on that, nonfiction, on the publishing as it is now, and how they're making a mistake not shelving books from people like you and me. That what they're doing is they're all buying the same books from the same people, and the only thing they've got to compete with is price, which Amazon's already beaten them anyway. So anyway, and the first 3 books in this series are written. It's a shared universe. And so the first 3 books are written. Book 4, I don't know if you know Robert Krogh or not.
Yeah, I do.
Okay. I thought you probably did. Robert's writing book 4. And then do you know Tyree Campbell from It's Horace Publishing now. Anyway, he's writing a book. We've got a whole bunch of authors that, as soon as they heard the concept, said, "Oh man, count me in." And we've got an anthology coming that's already got a lot of neat stories in it. So it's going to be a really fun universe. I think if you like comics, if you like graphic novels, if you like that fast paced action, I think you're going to like it. I do. For anybody who's familiar with any of my other work, they know that I don't build characterization traditionally. I do it, and I'm very proud of the way I do it. But I'm a little faster paced, and I do it as part of the action. And I just think I'm really proud of it. I mean, for being as off the wall as it comes across, I think it holds together, and its internal logic holds together really well.
Well, I love, and Carlin Stewart says, me, he wants a copy. So now
Carlin is a good friend of mine, by the way. I love the guy.
Yeah, he's a great guy. Now, Bill, is there a Kickstarter connected with this?
No.
Okay.
No.
Because I thought there was something launching next week.
There is. This is launching next week, January 15th.
Okay.
It will be available on Amazon.
Okay.
And we don't do
cross signals there.
It's okay. I have a Patreon channel. If anybody wants to keep up with my daily, people keep telling me, you're really telling a little too much. You're telling stuff you probably want to keep secret. And I'm like,
I don't know. Everything that you said, makes me interested to read the book. Now, why is he called the Trashman?
Well, I'm trying to think of how to give this out without going too far. Okay, so as far as the world knows, imagine the world we live in now. Okay, only there are licensed assassins,
right?
And it's not cheap, by the way. All right, it's not like for $100 you can get somebody off. You can, but the assassin that you hire doing that isn't necessarily going to do a really good job. And so trainees and stuff like that.
Sure.
We live in a world where most people don't believe in magic. Hit world is. They don't believe in Bigfoot. They think it's all nonsense. If you like comic books, you're looked down on, as being some kind of idiot. But yet the same people go see the Avengers movies. It's the world we live in now, only with legal assassins. Okay, and that's the world that he lives in. Where if you told him, "Hey, I saw a UFO last night," he'd look at you like, "Yeah, sure, you're out of your mind." Well, except there's a different level of people who want to. There's a different level of assassin, and the next level above his, when he finally understands it, they refer to themselves as the Trashmen. Because they take out the trash, alien trash, rogue Bigfoots, magic users who've gone off the deep end.
I like rogue Bigfoots.
I know, isn't that a cool concept?
Yeah, it is.
Well, I already have a Bigfoot story out called The Hairy Man.
I did not know that.
Yeah, and it's set in my post-apocalyptic universe, but it doesn't. It's only using one of the characters. It's kind of a standalone, and there's people out there, and I get the grief from people too. Bigfoot. Why would you write a story about Bigfoot? It doesn't exist, and all that stuff. And you just want to go, why are you reading this genre if you don't like reading about Bigfoots and stuff?
Yeah.
What is wrong with you? So anyway, yeah, and it's a really neat place, and the Trashmen are legendary, but nobody knows what they really do and who they really are, and they're very secret. I'm giving some stuff away, and I really hate to, but I'm not giving away details too much. There's a Charlie's Angels kind of vibe in one part of this, where
this just sounds bananas, crazy fun. So the Trashman, it comes out next week on
January
Amazon.
15th.
Yeah, I'm going to order it. Can you
thank you.
pre-order it?
No, we don't do pre-orders.
Okay. So you'll have to wait. So do me a favor. So
All
that
right.
we can remind our viewers next Saturday. Send me a reminder Friday night to mention it on the show, and we'll all run out and get it. And Carlin Stewart says stealing the beef jerky. Is that what Bigfoot does? Steals or what is he doing?
Yeah. There's a commercial called Messing with Sasquatch.
Yeah. Okay, I got it now.
Yeah.
Well, excellent. Super excited about The Trashman by Bill Webb. Everyone go get that. Available next Saturday on Amazon. And so, Bill, I want to talk about a couple other things in the next 15 minutes with us. But before we do that, we need to acknowledge one of our sponsors, fellow author, Miss Cindy Kep.
Author Cindy Kep is writing on the edge. Books include Remnant in the Stars, The Loudest Actions, Lines of Succession, Mindstorm, Condemned Courier, the Yerushalayim series, and Animal Eye. Find author Cindy Kep at CKOEPP.com today.
Those look great.
Yeah, they do. And we are also brought to you once again by Hot Sockets. They're so good, they'll leave you speechless and possibly unconscious. And also brought to you by The Further Adventures. The Further Adventures of the League of Impossibilists. Check that out at impossibilists.com, patreon.com/impossibilists.
Did I see Freemasonry and Solomon Kane in there?
Not Solomon Kane, but some riffing on some themes from Solomon Kane. Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's a project that we're doing kind of in reverse. We started as original characters cosplaying, and then one of our members said, "Oh, you should do a comic book series." I said, "Okay," and so he started drawing. No story, just started drawing. Had an story idea in his mind, but he was just drawing. And then
I get along. Yeah.
He sends me the pages of his pencil artwork. I ink them, and then I put them in order to create a story from what he's already drawn. Completely backwards. Usually you start with a script, then you draw it, you publish it, and then people cosplay as those characters. We did it completely backwards, which I kind of dig.
That's how I write a book. Is so many authors outline, and outlining gives me hives. And when I write a book, I literally usually start with the end, and I will write scenes that appear to me until I run out of scenes, and then I'll go back and connect them.
Yeah, that's kind of how I do it. Oh, look at here. Oh, my goodness. I can't believe it. It's DeMartini. DeMartini. Okay, so the 8 Ball was right. It said you would show up. Now, it's my fault that she's late because I forgot to send out the link. And it is a Saturday morning at the Barty house, I can tell.
I'm half dead.
You're half dead. Are you feeding the kids?
Yeah.
What are the kids eating?
Oh my God, I look terrible.
You look fine.
You look better than I do.
You look like a Saturday morning. D meet Bill, Bill meet D.
Hi.
So, hey, D, you're just in time because I was just going to talk about some of the stuff that maybe you've been watching. Have you been watching Cobra Kai in your house? No. D. Barty,
What?
you and Brian need to sit down and watch Cobra Kai.
Is that the one with the guy from Karate Kid?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
The Karate Kid story continued. They just finished season 3 on Netflix. And they're short seasons. They're like 30-minute episodes, so you can watch them really quick. This season took me 1 day to watch, which I hate binging, but I did it anyway, and I had an empty hole in my soul after I was done. But spoiler alert, this scene at the end of Karate Kid or Cobra Kai season 3 was epic. Gave me goosebumps. So, D. Barty, you have got to watch Cobra Kai.
I've heard good things about it. I'll watch it.
Yeah, you should. Now, D, what are your feelings about this coming up on Disney Plus? Do you know anything about WandaVision?
I do not.
So, WandaVision is the continuing story of the Scarlet Witch and the Vision. And people are going to say, wait a minute, didn't Vision die in Infinity War, Avengers Infinity War? Yes, he did. But somehow, Wanda has used her reality-altering powers to bring him back to life and to create what she in her mind considers the idyllic relationship. And
I love it.
Well, the show is based off of classic sitcoms through the 60s and 70s and into the 80s, because that's kind of how she envisioned their whole life, is like a sitcom. And so that's coming next Saturday or Friday, next Friday to Disney Plus. So all of you Avengers fans out there, check out WandaVision.
Hey, John.
Yeah.
Does Vision still have his powers?
Yes. And there is rumor that Wiccan has already been cast and that we may see Quicksilver return, but not really Quicksilver. It's Speed. And, that a different actor obviously is going to be playing him. But in the comic series, these were Wanda's originally imagined children who, during the House of M event, became reality and became members of the Young Avengers. So lots of cool stuff in the continuing story of the Marvel Universe. And you can hear D. Barty getting breakfast ready for the kids. The kids are running around in the back. Show us the kids. Show us the kitchen on Saturday morning in the Barty house.
Well, there's my kid. I'm not showing you my kitchen because it's a hot mess.
So, Bill, are you into pulpy alt reality stuff? Obviously you are, because you write that stuff.
Yes.
Have you seen Shadow in the Cloud?
No, but I have actually seen commercials for it, and I'm down for anything with Chloe Grace Moretz.
Yes. So this is, you could almost consider it, if you ever saw Gremlins, D, Shadow in the Cloud is, in my headcanon, is a prequel to the movie Gremlins. But with different character designs. I loved this movie. I give it high marks. I give it high marks. It is an alternate reality diesel punk adventure, and it almost entirely takes place in this gunner turret. And Chloe plays a former fighter pilot in World War II. And that tells you it's alternate reality right off the bat, because we didn't have American fighter pilots in World War II, but she was one, and one of the most successful, most decorated pilots, gunners and whatnot. And she's got a secret package that she's got to deliver, and top secret orders to protect it and deliver it. And in the meantime, she's got to open up the gun turret while they're in the air and fight off the gremlins attacking the fighter plane. I loved it because it almost entirely takes place inside this turret. There are other characters, but you only hear their voices for the majority of the movie. And I just thought that was crazy inventive.
So it's kind of like the William Shatner episode of Twilight Zone with a ball turret and a lot more gremlins. Yeah.
And the gremlins are, I wish they could have got the rights to do the Gremlins movie design on the gremlins. They're horrifying in this, but it would have been so satisfying to have those little green gremlins in there.
It would, yeah. Well, that's pretty cool. I don't know if you know it, but in one of my other series that I write, Chloe Moretz is she's the model, I guess you'd say, for one of my characters. A grown-up hit girl, only psychotic.
So we got another comment from Carlin Stewart, who says, "I may finally have to get Disney Plus." Carlin, how do you not have Disney Plus? So you haven't seen The Mandalorian? Carlin, come on, Carlin. Yes, you do have to get Disney Plus. Now, Shadow in the Cloud is streaming on a bunch of different streaming platforms. It was not released to movie theaters for obvious reasons, but you can download it and stream it. It's one of those $19.99 tickets. It'll be less eventually. I luckily saw it with a free preview from the publisher. And Carlin says, budgets. Yeah. Okay. Disney Plus is $6.99, Carlin. Don't go to Starbucks 2 times this week. And you've got it paid for. All right. D. Barty. I'd like to know, have you guys watched Soul on Disney Plus?
One of my kids did. I saw her watching it the other day, but I have not watched it.
You have got to sit down and watch this movie. Bill, did you see Soul?
I watched Wonder Woman. Does that count?
Okay, let's talk about Wonder Woman. What did you think about Wonder Woman?
I'm hearing some bad reviews, and I'm kind of like, what? Because I thought it was great.
But you don't watch a lot of movies.
No.
So you don't have a whole lot to compare it to. Okay, so Wonder Woman. Bill, did you see Wonder Woman 84?
I liked it.
All the people that I trust, who's generally I agree with, said, "Oh my God, what a hot mess!"
It was a hot mess.
And they said, now they did say, if you want to go watch her, that's okay.
Yeah.
Just don't expect the movie to be any good.
That's right. She was even more beautiful in this movie than she was previous movies, which I didn't think was possible. But
do you know why?
Why? Because she's a little older.
Because it was actually all her. The first movie, she was actually pregnant when they were making the movie, and so they had to green screen a lot of her body in it.
Really?
I did not know that.
I didn't know that either.
I knew something you didn't know? Oh my gosh!
D-Marty, bringing some knowledge, laying some knowledge.
Whoa.
That's pretty awesome. No, I did not know that. Well, This movie officially put her on my hall pass list. Yeah, she was gorgeous. But yeah, Bill, as a movie goes, it was
When I heard about the way they brought back what's his name, the love interest,
Steve Trevor.
Yeah. When I heard about the way they brought him back, I was just like, "Oh, come on now! You know, we're going down the ghost route."
Oh, hold on. Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! DBRT, did you think that Wonder Woman's relationship with Steve Trevor was a little bit rapey?
That not hurt so bad. A little bit rapey?
Mm-hmm.
No.
So,
I'm not sure I know what that means, but no.
Well,
you go ahead, John.
Spoiler alert: Steve Trevor doesn't actually come back. His spirit, his soul, his intellect comes back in somebody else's body. And so Wonder Woman is looking at this other guy, seeing Steve, but it's not Steve. It's another guy who is no longer in control of his body or his sensibilities. Steve is in control, and Steve and Wonder Woman. And, you know, a lot of people have been saying that's equatable to rape because it's unconsensual sex.
Okay, so that's what they want to look at instead of looking at somebody comes back in somebody else's body. Seriously, give me a freaking break, guys.
What if she gets a disease or something?
We're pregnant.
Yeah.
It was her choice. She knew.
Yeah, but the guy didn't have a choice. His body was possessed.
Yeah, as Carlin Stewart points out.
Yeah. Yeah.
But in the end, he found her very attractive. So,
well, we think that because there is a Christmas, they came in and they refilmed another scene to make it a Christmas movie. There's a scene at Christmas at the end where he runs into the guy that Steve was in, and the actor that they cast to play this part looks exactly like the actor who played Steve Trevor in the 1970s TV show, which was uncanny. So you get this nostalgia thing going on. But she runs into him again and she's like, "I'm checking you out." And he's like, "I'm checking you out." So,
look, I thought it was good. I mean,
it was good. It wasn't horrible. My daughter said it was the worst movie ever.
You know what was funny? Okay, so the end was the end where she talks things off. Huh?
Wait, do we need a spoiler alert? Go
Yeah.
ahead.
Yeah, I was trying to say it without spoiling anything, but we've already done some, so it's okay. The end where he's like taking over the world or whatever, and she's like, she talks him down and she talks to everybody through him or whatever. I thought that was kind of
that was kind of lame. It wasn't real clear. She resolves the entire conflict by having the entire world rescind their wish.
What if your wish was, "I'm about to die from cancer and I really wish I wasn't"? So you're supposed to give that up?
Yeah, see, it was so weak. And
but she gave up her man, so
you should die? I mean,
he did. Sacrifices.
Okay.
I just thought it was a whole lot of Deus Ex Machina. And the fact with Maxwell Lord, his son just magically appears at the compound. He's thousands of miles away. He needs to go find his son, and suddenly, magically, they're in the same place at the end. I don't know.
Hey, what's funny? I'm sitting here watching this movie, right? And I'm going, the bad guy. And I'm like, I know him. I know this guy. How do I know this guy? And I ended up having to look it up. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's the Mandalorian. Duh.
Well, and he's been in a lot of stuff. Game of Thrones. He was in Kingdom, Golden Circle. But yeah, he was the Mandalorian most recently.
I just wanted to mention that if in a movie that sort of works, okay, you can get. I mean, obviously they got away with it, but in a book, if I did that in a book, I would absolutely be nailed to a wall. With I mean, you just can't get away with. Okay, I've painted myself in a corner, so God shows up, basically.
Yeah.
And just makes everything good. So it is one of the differences between the craft of storytelling and in movies and books.
So Cindy Kep says, "Gah, sounds like a movie to avoid." I would wait for it to come out on Redbox, Cindy. Get it as a rental. Unless you have HBO Max, you can see it.
I do. I would say I didn't pay for it. I have HBO Max through AT&T, which obviously is not working last weekend.
Yeah. Stuart Carlin said, way too much hype and expectations for it to live up to, which is a part of its problem. And he says, I recommend it as a rainy day matinee film. The one, and I've talked about this before, and then
that's a good point.
We'll get off Wonder Woman because she just got off of you. You're welcome. You're welcome. One of the things that bothered me, Dee, was that Wonder Woman is this kick-ass warrior. And then all of a sudden in this movie, she's so hung up over a guy that she had a nominal relationship with 40 years earlier during World War I, or longer ago than that. This is 84. So what was that? That was 84 years prior. No, 74 years prior. She's been pining over a guy for 74 years. And it's to the point in this movie where I can't live without him. Come on.
Hey, a lot of women can relate to that. Not the 74 years, but
she doesn't get over him in over 50 years, almost 70 years.
No.
Come on.
No.
An Amazon. Come on. Now, I will say this. Spoiler alert. The mid-credit scene was worth going to see the movie for. Did you watch through the credits, Dee?
Oh, yes! Yes! Oh, my gosh. Yes. I agree. 100%. Oh, I was so excited.
Should we tell people what you were so excited about?
I don't know.
Somebody's going to.
Okay. You tell them.
So there's a scene of a woman, obviously of Amazon heritage, walking through a market.
I just have to say, before you say this, my kids are like, because I screamed, ah! My kids are like, what? And I'm like, oh.
Something happens that causes one of the tent poles in the market to start to fall. It's going to land on somebody, and she reaches up and catches it with one hand, and then they pan around, and it's Linda Carter as the character Asteria, who is a central part of the story, but you never see her until this end credit scene, and Linda Carter is Asteria. It was worth watching the movie just for that.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I love stuff like that.
Yeah, so I think, DBRT, you got here just in time to talk about those stuff that you actually could participate in.
All right.
Hey, what is up for you for this week? You got any fun, exciting adventures happening?
Hopefully, my kids are going back to school, so finally. They've been on remote this week.
Just this week?
Mm-hmm. They started on the 4th, on Monday, and they've been remote, even my kindergartner.
Fun times for the whole Barty family.
It's been rough.
So
but at least we have internet now. I don't know if you were on last week and if you talked about what happened last week.
We were. Well, that you weren't on for the Christmas Day or Christmas loot episode. Did you get anything cool for Christmas?
So I did, and you'll be excited. I got 2 ring lights. Yeah.
I'm very excited.
I did.
Woo!
I got a lot more, but I won't go into it. But my 3-year-old got a lot of Mandalorian stuff. It's really hilarious because he's like, "This is from the Mandalorian."
That's fantastic. Yeah, Dee wasn't on with us on our Christmas loot show because, she has AT&T internet and phone service, and AT&T was taken out by a bomber on Christmas Day. And then last week.
So last week was my daughter's. In case everybody doesn't know, I have 5 children. 5. So it's a lot. But one of them turned 13 last week. Oh. And so we took her. Yeah. Tell me about it. I have a 20-year-old and a 17-year-old. 13. But anyway, she, instead of having a big party or anything, which is hard to do during COVID, she wanted to go and like redo her whole wardrobe. So we went to the mall. And we went very early to the mall. I was probably on the way to the mall. Well, I could have probably done the show in the car. But I didn't think about that. But anyway, that's what we did. Fun times, because I hate shopping.
Wait, a woman who hates shopping? What?
Yeah, I know. My husband likes it.
I love shopping. All right, so we are actually 11 minutes over our normal time. We don't normally go over an hour, Bill, but this morning is a little bit different. And to close us out, I'm going to do something for you guys. Bill.
Yes.
I want to use your imagination. Now, this is important that the cards will never leave the frame.
All right.
So Bill, I want you to imagine that in my hand are 4 cards. Now, We're not going to look at them just yet, but I want you to imagine that they're the 4 jacks. Queen of Hearts, or Jack of Hearts, Jack of Diamonds, Jack of Clubs, Jack of Spades. 2 red, 2 black. That's important. Now, I want you to use your imagination, Bill, and tell me, in your imagination, I'm going to remove 2 jacks of the same color. In your imagination, which color jacks did I remove? The reds or the blacks?
The blacks. The blacks.
That's exactly right. Now, I want you to imagine that I set one of the black jacks aside, and the other one I turn over so that he's looking at you, and I slide it back into the packet of cards. Tell me out loud in your imagination, spade or club, which one of the jacks did I turn over?
Club.
Interesting. You've made all of the decisions. The cards have never left the frame. And yet, look, it is indeed the Jack of Clubs. Now, what's interesting about that is that before you and I started the show today, Bill, I knew that you were going to choose the Jack of Clubs, and that's why the Jack of Clubs comes out of a different colored deck. But more than that, I was so sure that you were going to choose the Jack of Clubs and only the Jack of Clubs that the other 3 cards don't have anything on them at all.
And some people say magic doesn't actually exist. I mean, there's evidence.
There it is. And Dee Barty has a big smile on her face. Thank you guys for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Glad to do it. And remember, go out on the, is it the 15th or the 16th, Bill?
15th.
The 15th.
This Friday.
Friday the 15th. Get Trashman at Amazon. And we'll be going on another road trip on the 16th. But make sure you check out Dee Barty's photography. Do you have a website, Dee?
I do. DBartyPhoto.com.
DBartyPhoto.com. She's a phenomenal photographer. You want to make sure to check that out and see her work.
when you guys get to Memphis, look me up.
Well, we'll be coming to Memphis whenever there's a con there again.
Hey, last thing. I know you got to go. Are any of you guys going to Fantasy, which is still on for March?
I don't know anything about it. You'll need to send me the details.
I'll do it.
Very cool. Very cool. All right. Well, guys and gals, remember, you can like us on Facebook at Cereal Box Podcast. Follow us on Instagram at Cereal Box Podcast. Of course, watch us on YouTube at Back of the Cereal Box. And listen to us on iTunes and Spotify, Back of the Cereal Box. And Cindy Kep says, thanks for hosting the adventure. Thank you for joining the adventure, everyone. You guys can continue to post comments. We will answer them throughout the week. And if you like this episode, make sure you share it with 300 or 400 of your closest friends and family. And until the next time, love you, mean it. We'll catch you on the flip side.